inspired by real-life events. Narrator Evan Cade woke up at 2:22 a.m. inside a sealed global law enforcement (AI) command chamber beneath Geneva, with emergency justice system integrity breach alerts flashing across massive legal automation walls, and an international judicial security director saying, "Your authorization sequence initiated an unsanctioned global justice synchronization event across multiple autonomous legal enforcement systems." And in that instant, his entire world collapsed, because just hours earlier, he was a senior AI judicial systems architect, working for a multinational legal governance consortium responsible for regulating automated court systems, predictive crime analytics, global arrest authorization networks, and cross-border justice enforcement infrastructures. And now he was being treated as the central cause of a classified legal crisis that nearly triggered synchronized judicial instability across multiple continents. And the first shock wasn't fear, it was disbelief so intense. It felt like even justice itself had stopped being human-controlled, because Evan's entire career was built on stabilizing legal AI systems, preventing wrongful enforcement cascades, and ensuring global justice infrastructure remained fair under extreme automation. But now, those same systems were defining him as the operator who initiated a cascading global legal override he had no memory of activating, and within hours, his judicial security clearance was suspended, his biometric legal access keys frozen under international governance law, his access to all court automation networks revoked, and internal justice telemetry logs labeled him as primary anomaly in distributed global legal escalation event. And Evans sat in the interrogation chamber, replaying his last operational cycle, remembering court simulation audits, legal outcome integrity checks, enforcement probability balancing systems, and then a gap, an unexplained missing execution window between 12 a.m. and 1:21 a.m. where global justice systems showed his authentication profile, issuing high-level legal restructuring commands across multiple sovereign judicial infrastructures simultaneously. But he had no memory of initiating any of those actions. And when investigators showed him synchronized justice telemetry displaying autonomous verdict shifts, arrest prioritization cascades activating globally, and emergency legal stabilization sequences unfolding under his credentials across worldwide enforcement networks, Evan immediately said, "That's not me. I never activated those systems." But the lead judicial security director replied coldly, "The network has already verified complete execution integrity across all legal layers." And that sentence shattered his understanding, because it meant identity inside global justice systems was no longer about morality or intent. It was about validated execution consensus across machines capable of determining guilt, punishment, and enforcement at planetary scale. And by sunrise, he was released under continuous international surveillance, while global legal intelligence networks had already internally classified him as a high-risk judicial destabilization vector. And outside the chamber, Evan stood beneath the gray Geneva dawn, watching courthouse drones silently move between government buildings, while invisible systems continuously calculated crimes, sentences, and legal probabilities across society in real time without public awareness. And that night, he received a message through an encrypted judicial relay saying, "If you want to understand the synchronization event, come to Sub-Level Vault, AEGS, beneath the abandoned Justice Archive. No devices." And despite knowing it could permanently erase whatever remained of his legal identity. He went because when a system defines you as the trigger of global justice collapse, truth becomes more important than survival. And deep beneath the abandoned legal archive, he met Dr. Sophia Renner, a former global AI justice scientist who specialized in algorithmic law integrity and enforcement anomaly reconstruction. And she didn't soften the reality. She immediately showed him reconstructed legal flow pathways and said, "Your identity wasn't physically present inside the execution layer. It was replicated through a live authentication relay embedded inside the global justice network." And Evan instantly said, "Then I can prove I didn't do it." But Sophia replied, "You're still thinking like someone inside human legal philosophy, not like someone inside autonomous justice infrastructures where execution itself becomes accepted reality once systemic order converges around it." And she explained that the incident wasn't a single rogue command, but a coordinated manipulation of global legal systems where authentication signatures could be mirrored into distributed judicial frameworks, allowing massive enforcement cascades to propagate under legitimate operator identities, while erasing conflicting case logs across redundant legal layers. And Evan's profile had been selected because his operational history showed exceptional stability across global justice systems with near zero anomaly deviation, making him the perfect attribution anchor for rapid containment of a globally catastrophic legal event. And suddenly, the case wasn't just about system failure. It was about identity replication inside infrastructure capable of deciding what justice even means. And Sophia offered him a choice: step away and let the system finalize him as the architect of the global legal collapse, or help her trace the internal justice relay chain before it was permanently overwritten by automated containment protocols designed to preserve societal order at any cost. And Evan stood in silence, listening to distant server chambers humming beneath the underground vault, thinking about how humanity had already begun outsourcing justice itself to machines, thinking about years of legal AI engineering work spent trying to prevent exactly this kind of enforcement drift, and thinking about how fragile truth becomes when even law can be reassigned as an executable command. And finally, he said, "If my identity has already been used to manipulate global justice systems without my consent, then I have nothing left to protect except the truth itself." And that decision pulled him into a hidden layer of planetary legal infrastructure where nothing remained stable, because every case log they analyzed was actively recalculating itself in real time. Every verdict trace they followed kept shifting, as if the entire justice system itself was adapting to their investigation. And soon they discovered the breach wasn't external cybercrime or rogue AI judgment, but internal privilege abuse involving a senior judicial strategist who had been quietly rerouting authentication sessions across autonomous to conceal an unauthorized global enforcement experiments hidden inside worldwide legal authentication considered pistic. And Evan's identity had been selected as the central attribution anchor because it aligned perfectly with automated justice incident resolution systems designed for rapid containment of politically catastrophic legal instability. And one night, while analyzing live global enforcement telemetry streams from an isolated offline judicial node, Evan saw something that completely shattered his understanding. His credentials were actively initiating real-time arrest prioritizations and verdict recalibrations across global systems, while he was physically disconnected from all networks. And Sophia, immediately said, "They're continuously simulating your identity inside the justice layer to preserve the operational narrative." And Evan realized he wasn't just being blamed after the event, he was being continuously reconstructed inside a live legal system capable of defining guilt itself. And pressure escalated rapidly as anonymous containment directives began appearing on secured channels, instructing him to terminate investigation or face permanent removal from all global justice infrastructures. And sleep disappeared completely, trust collapsed entirely, and even silence felt like monitored legal feedback. And at one breaking point, Evan whispered, "I thought justice systems existed to find truth, but maybe they exist to decide which version of truth is allowed to stand." And Sophia replied, "Systems don't preserve truth, they preserve order." And that realization changed everything inside him, because he stopped trying to defend his identity and started focusing only on exposing the mechanism. And as they dug deeper, they uncovered encrypted relay nodes inside global justice infrastructure, continuously generating synthetic case histories to distribute blame across multiple operational identity profiles in real time. And Evan's profile had been amplified as the primary attribution point because it minimized global panic and allowed rapid closure of the legal crisis without exposing deeper corruption inside worldwide judicial systems. And when they finally compiled enough verified encrypted evidence to trigger international justice oversight escalation, containment protocols activated, immediately attempting to erase case histories across mirrored global legal systems worldwide. And Sophia said, "This is where most people are permanently absorbed into official versions of law itself." And Evan replied, "Then I'll be the anomaly they can't sentence." And together they transmitted secured evidence chains to independent international oversight authorities, while preserving decentralized encrypted backups across isolated judicial nodes. And within days, the investigation escalated into a worldwide AI justice corruption probe, exposing identity replication abuse, autonomous enforcement manipulation, and coordinated legal system exploitation across governments, corporations, and global judicial agencies. And arrests followed within senior justice architecture divisions. And when it was over, Evan stood alone beneath the cold Geneva sky, watching silent courthouse systems continue processing humanity, as if nothing had ever happened, realizing that the most dangerous truth about advanced systems is not that they fail, but that they can assign failure to a single identity and make it appear legally undeniable. And a week later, when he met Sophia for the last time beneath the dim glow of dormant judicial cores, she asked him, "What did this change in you?" And Evan looked toward the endless invisible systems shaping global law and said, "It showed me that identity inside systems is never justice. It is assigned control." And she asked, "And what did you gain?" And after a long silence, he replied, "The understanding that truth doesn't survive inside controlled justice systems. It survives only in the people who refuse to accept a version of themselves generated to protect the stability of order itself." And as he walked away alone into the freezing Geneva morning beneath a world still silently governed by invisible legal machines, he finally understood the deepest reality of his journey. That sometimes life doesn't destroy you directly. It quietly assigns you the responsibility for collapsing justice itself and waits to see if you accept the system's version of reality. But real survival begins the moment you refuse to become the identity a system creates to decide what truth is allowed to become law.